First take. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another podcast with Conquer with Chris, the podcast you don't want to miss. Today I have a very special guest. I have Rachel Friedman. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We're going to get to Rachel in just a second, but I just want to say, if you're new to this and you're catching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe and the notifications bell. If you're on the podcast world, please download, like, subscribe. Give us a rating. I greatly appreciate it. Rachel, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, how you grew up, and a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, yes, I am a life coach, life and business coach, and about me, where I grew up. So I actually grew up in the DC metropolitan area. I was born in Northern Virginia, grew up there, lived there pretty much my whole life, Northern Virginia, Maryland, except for going away to school, which I went upstate to New York, to Syracuse, and then did a one-year program at NYU for grad school. And then I ended up back in the DC area and lived there till about 12 years ago when I moved to Atlanta. That's kind of my short but sweet background.
So let's what caused you to move to Atlanta?
Yeah, I definitely was not my choice.
Oh.
So yeah, my ex-husband.
You were kidnapped. I'm sorry to hear about that.
I was kidnapped and tortured. No, my ex-husband got a job at the Weather Channel here in Atlanta, and at the time he was, it was a great opportunity for him, and like to be a supportive wife. And I'm actually big on adventure and change. I have no problem with just jumping up and doing something new. So I saw it as like an opportunity for something fun. 2 little kids, why not?
So you moved down here, and then you had just started doing or being a part of yoga up in Maryland, and you decided to do what?
Yeah, so I was a personal trainer in Maryland for about 10 years, and had gotten into yoga towards the end of it. A college roommate had encouraged me, and I got to Atlanta, and there weren't really a lot of studios out in the suburbs, and there was nothing in my area that I could find that really felt like the studio I was going to in Maryland. And so yeah, I just decided I would open one. There wasn't one, then there was an opportunity, so I did that.
That's something that's key. I think we need to focus in on this right now. The word perspective, right? You could be like, oh, there's nothing like the one that was in Maryland here, so I'm just giving up yoga. Instead, you said, I'm going to create that opportunity for someone else to have what I had and pass that on to someone else. That's tremendous. Let's talk about perspective a minute. Since you're a coach, I'll let you take the floor and talk about why perspective is important.
Oh my God, perspective is everything. So I tell people all the time, I call them opportunity glasses. So you either have your opportunity glasses on, you're either looking through them clearly, where you can see opportunities everywhere, right? Or you're wearing them where it's almost like there's a shade on them and you can't see anything. And when you are looking from the window of opportunity, then life is greener, life is more joyful, there's a lot more pleasure in your life. And really the opportunity, the perspective comes from what's going on in your own brain. So often I don't think people realize that, like, they want to blame circumstances, like especially nowadays, they want to say, oh, well, COVID means I have no opportunities. Well, pardon my French, but that's BS, because you could use it as an excuse that I don't have opportunities, or you could use it and find other ways to look outside of the box and create an opportunity for yourself. I'm always one who's willing to, like, I'd say, jump off the cliff and step out of the comfort zone. I think that's people are going to see going to be essential, in our lives always.
I think 2 things with that. I think I heard this a long time ago, that an excuse is a reason turned inside out.
Yeah.
So you have a mom who says, I can't go to work because I have kids. And you have another mom that says, I have to go to work because of my kids, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same reason, it's the same excuse. It's just one's motivating them, one's hindering them. And then I also think about a story in the Bible. People don't even know a lot about this story because they don't pay attention to the wording or phrasing. it was when the children of Israel going into the promised land. They sent spies in, and the spies went and saw. And I thought it was key that you said opportunity glasses, right? They definitely didn't have these on. They had something else on. I don't know what they had. They said that they saw these giants, and they were grasshoppers in their own eyes. So they became grasshoppers in the giants' eyes. So I call it the grasshopper effect. That's what I call it. I don't call it opportunity glasses.
Yeah.
But if you look like, for example, everyone knows the story of David and Goliath. Someone gets scared because Goliath, they say he's so big. David said, he's so big, I can't miss him.
Yeah, right. It's just all it's all perspective. It's what you choose to think, right? Like you can choose whatever you want.
Well, you could take the same picture and frame it a different way. And one would be devastation, the other one would be reward, right? You got a loss and you got reward in the same picture, just framed differently. I'm just thinking about an ocean coming crashing in. If you just see the ocean crashing in, then you think, oh, it's devastation. But then you see a guy surfing on it. Oh, that's a reward. There's joy in that. There's someone, he's conquering that for the moment. So do you have one of your favorite quotes you'd like to share?
I have so many favorite quotes. I feel like I'm a walking quote book, but I would say one of them that I say all the time, and I don't know if it's like a famous quote or I don't know where it came from, but I always say that everything is happening for me. So often people say, why is this happening to me? And I just like to believe, why is this happening for me? And when you can look from that place, then there's again, opportunity either to learn or grow or shift. Like I said, I don't know if it's like a famous quote. I don't even know where it came from, but it landed in my head at some point.
I like it because to me, it's like I don't ever lose. I either win or learn something, right? That's
absolutely
that's another famous way of looking at things, right? Yeah. I don't ever lose. I just learn or find a way of win. I either find a way to learn or I learn a win. That's like, they said Edison didn't make the light bulb 9,999 times. He said, I learned how not to make the light bulb. Exactly. Which is important in look, to those who are listening, it's important to make progress. If you make 1% progress, in 100 days, you're going to be 100% better than you were before. You're still not 100% who you need to be. God knows. We all could be better. So
yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of like the idea of I always say, just fail forward.
Yeah, I love that. It's my whole thing is and this is like to my faith people out there, if you're going to have faith it all the way. Don't faith it halfway. You want to faith it until you fall, like she said, fall forward. If you're going to faith it and just take a baby step, that's really not faith, but that's beside it. So you moved to Atlanta, you opened up a yoga studio. It went well for you, and then?
Yeah, it went really well. So actually I've opened up 3. So I opened up 1. Yeah, 3. I opened up 1, and then 2 years later, it was about 40 minutes from my house, and I really wanted to open one within 2 minutes of my house.
Next door.
Yeah, next door. And my business partner at the time, she just didn't want to expand, so we just went our separate ways. So I opened up, I sold my half of that one. I took the money and I opened up one literally 3 minutes from my back door, could walk to. And yeah, opened that one, and we ended up doing really well. Opened a second location up by Emory. And then, your life, I think, is constantly evolving and changing, and it was ready to move on to the next, and sold my half to another, a student of mine, actually, who had gone through a teacher training I led, and started my coaching business.
I want to stop right there. You said something that life's ever evolving. I think more importantly, we're ever evolving, we're ever changing. Yeah. And so we have to change with who we are now. You were a fitness trainer, you were a yoga instructor, and then you became a life and business coach, which is what you do now.
Yes.
So tell people about what do you specific? What is your niche for that?
Yeah.
And how you go about that.
Yeah. So as you can see, I absolutely love starting businesses. I like to call myself a serial entrepreneur. So what I do now is I help new business owners. I shouldn't say just new, but people looking to start a business, or people that have a business that are feeling really overwhelmed, confused, struggling with all the day-to-day decisions, the organization, and feeling in control of their business, trying to get out of all that hustle. And it's avoiding the burnout that so many business owners have, because they're just, you know, anyone who has a business knows, like, it's so easy to work all day, every day, morning and night, and never stop, because your business it's a baby. It goes with you everywhere you go. So a lot of the work I do now is I help entrepreneurs eliminate all that overwhelm, the confusion, and the hustle, so they can love their business and they can enjoy it.
Wow, that's great. So let's just say someone's watching or listening, depending on what platform they're on right now. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Oh my
And they're
God.
new
What?
business owners.
So
They're
much.
getting just a couple basic things.
Yeah, what would I say to them? The first thing I would probably tell them is it's so important to create a structure for yourself. So to create a schedule for yourself and then to follow it and have your own back. It's really easy to get distracted, especially working from home, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, especially these days, right, post COVID, a lot of us entrepreneurs are working in the virtual world like this, through Zoom or whatever. And it's really easy to be distracted by everything else in your life. So it's super important, I think, first and foremost, to create a structure for yourself. Like, when am I going to wake up? When am I going to do the things to take care of myself? Which would be the next thing I would say is super important. Make sure you're filling your own container. I see it so often that people want to give and give and give, and they forget to fill their own container. And it is essential to be able to keep giving. And then to have your own back. So, like, you know, when you have that urge to get up and check the laundry, or to, you know, step away from whatever you're doing and not focus and check social media because you're like, just for a minute, and then an hour goes by, to not give into those urges. That's one of the things I love teaching people, how to sit with a feeling and not let the feeling take control. When you are able to do that, you become like a superhero. Like, you become extremely powerful.
Wow. That's excellent. You know, one thing I'll throw in there is avoid, take it from experience. I've spent lots of money on these things. Do you know how, like, dogs, they will go running after cars, right? And they see a car run by. In the business world, you probably heard this syndrome. It's called shiny
object syndrome.
Yes, it's the
Yes.
worst thing. You're doing something. You just bought something. You bought a course. You bought a piece of software. You bought something, and you start working with it and start doing it, start applying it, whatever the case may be. And then here comes Twitter 3.0. Oh my gosh, I've got it, or Facebook, the new improved Facebook, or the new TikTok, or whatever the next thing's going to be, right? Clubhouse, right? So
Yes.
you get distracted. No, stay with your plan. Stay with your plan.
Yes.
It may not work as fast as you want. I promise you, it's not going to work as fast as you want. I'll recommend somebody right here. Listen or read Grant Cardone's book, 10X. It will fix your problem as far as your mindset. Yeah. So enough about Grant. Grant doesn't need a plug.
Yeah, he's doing okay, I think, himself. Yeah, it's good. He's got a lot of good books.
So tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so they can find me. It's my website, rachelbethcoaching.com. They can find me on Instagram at Rachel B. Friedman, Facebook. You know, I don't even know what my tag is on Facebook. Just Rachel Goldberg Friedman, I think. I don't know my name. All the places. Yeah, and the only other thing I would say to people is simplify, like you just said, Chris. Like, you know, pick one thing and get really good at it. Focus at that one thing. Don't try to do everything. You'll spin your wheels and you will end up drowning.
Since we talked about dogs a little bit earlier, it's like the dog who chases tail. You'll never get anything accomplished, and you just pull yourself out.
That is one. Oh my God, so true. As my dog's sitting right next to us right now.
So, yeah. So last piece of advice for anyone, if you want to give something else to the people, this would be your chance.
Yeah, I would say, you know, whether you want to own your own business, starting a business, you have a business, or you're not interested in any of that, it doesn't really matter. I would say learn how to manage your emotions, because when you learn to manage your own mind, you become such an incredible being, meaning you learn how to shift a perspective like that and really that's what this coaching work has done for me, more importantly than anything else. Like, you can have all the strategy in the world, but if you have a mismanaged mind, meaning you have thoughts running all over the place and you don't know how to hone in for yourself, like take a deep breath and just pause so you can see everything, life is just going to always feel chaotic. It's going to feel over the top. And whether it's me or someone else, find someone to help you learn how to manage your mind, because I think it's the key to a really successful life in any area. And it's something that I just wish they taught kids in the high school level. I think at the high school level, they could grasp it. I'm not sure why we don't.
There's so many, like, I wish they teach how money works really in
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things I wish they would teach, but
they don't.
yeah, so true.
Don't. Hey, look, it's been a pleasure, Rachel. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my guest, Rachel Friedman. Thank you for being on, Rachel.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for joining us. See you next time on Conquer with Chris, the podcast you don't want to miss.